Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching this. My name is Lily, and welcome to a special video. I did something similar to I think Linus is doing in some other place called the Linux Challenge. So for like entire, what was it, 2-3 weeks already, I've been trying to use what is called Linux Pop OS. But here's my reaction. Here's how everything down.
What, Jerry?
Okay, so for the beginning, we're gonna start with why did I begin using why did I start using Linux? Well, for one, I have an issues with Windows sometimes, and recently, for some reason, the key that I have for Windows is not working no more. Some recent updates, something. I try contact them and they tell me like, hey, you cannot use this key anymore because it's been like used, hacked, or whatever, and you have to use another key. And I say, okay, where do I get another key? Oh, you had to buy it. How much is it? Another $200. Yeah, no, I'm not buying $200 off a key. No. So that's why I'm trying to get Linux, see how it works before I spend another $200 on another Windows machine. Now, with that said, let's begin. So let's go with the installation, or in other words, besides that, let's just say like, why didn't I choose like other thing? What about a Macintosh, right? You want to say like, what about you don't use Macintosh instead? I don't have a lot of money. That a brand new laptop or one new desktop for like Macintosh is like almost $2,000. So I'm like, nah, no, I'm not doing that. Nope, that is too expensive. So let's just decide with something free and open source. So that's why we start with Linux. Okay, now let's go see how everything go. Okay, for beginners, the installation was quite simple enough on my PC. Of course, this might vary depending on where you install Linux, Pop OS, or other of its distros, so that's what I call it. Anyways, so for me on my PC it was rather easy to install Pop OS. Just click F11, go select the USB, and then just let everything run by itself. It was quite fun though. It was just fun seeing all the little things going like blah, 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 blah. It was fun, but the issue came on my laptop. When I tried with the laptop, I had to do a bunch of random things. Thanks for Ren though, that he helped me figure out what was wrong with the laptop. Anyways, back to the PC. The installation was fun. It didn't took more than 10 minutes. Probably even less, probably like around 5 or so. Unlike when I install Windows, it takes like, I don't know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like around an hour and a half tops. If I'm lucky, it can take less, but that's just the Windows install. Then the other part missing will be the the freaking driver installation. That is something that I didn't have to do on Linux, so that was a good choice. But we're gonna get more into that later on. So let's continue. Whoop. Okay, so as you can see here, it's like the desktop of Pop OS. We have all your basic tools down here, and there's not a lot of things to be worried about. That's it. It's like a clean installation, was super quick, super fast. For a daily driver, I will say, like, for example, my parents that like to only turn on the computer, go to Facebook, check all the things, watch YouTube, and for some reason check houses. It is pretty good for somebody that doesn't use anything else besides the internet and go websites and stuff like that. This is an amazing thing. Like, you don't have to worry about this and that, but I bet most of you will say, wait, what about if they're trying to, type or do some other crazy third thing like that? Well, for that, Linux on this specific distro, Pop OS, had already installed this thing similar like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Pretty much the most basic stuff. You want to go more into detail, there's a lot of different things, but that's just basically if you are like somebody that doesn't use the computer for like a bunch of crazy things like editing, VTubing, or some other third random thing. This one is pretty much used for everybody that uses the regular things. You don't have to worry about other things, and you just go with it. That's it. Yeah, that's the pretty much basic of the Pop OS. It's just regular Windows. If you need to update, it's kind of like a mix between a phone and a phone and a computer. So with that said, let's move on to some of the programs that I have installed. Okay, in here we have the programs that I usually would like to run, like Steam, OBS, of course, and of course video editing programs. So when I try to upload videos either to YouTube or to some other third place. Anyways, so the program that I have in here is Litress that will allow me to run some games that do not work in Steam. Of course, there's like, how do I say this? This would also big grain of salt because not all the games will run probably good on Linux. So this is the game that I play most often, which is Final Fantasy XIV and Minecraft, and of course Project Zomboid, and the other ones work natively, so I don't really have to do testing them because they run pretty much the same both in Windows and on Linux. So most of the games that I have in here that I usually currently play, they work natively, so I don't have to do anything about it. I can just download it and play them. But like games like Final Fantasy XIV, on the other hand, since I do not have the Steam version, I have to download it from the website itself. But it was causing me problems, so thanks for the help of Ren. Told me, like, hey, download Litress, do this and that, and I got it running pretty perfectly. I did a test, but I test the same character on the same dungeon, run the same thing, and you can see there, like on the top, you can see the comparison between them. You're gonna say, I'm gonna put it like the one on the left is the one on this side will be Windows, and the one on the other side will be Linux. So you can see the comparison is pretty much the same. There's nothing wrong with that. You can continue doing things all over and over and over again without any specific problem whatsoever. I did notice that the frame rate drops significantly on when you're in towns, especially it is mostly common occurrence during every town as far as I know, either on Windows or in PC. It was the same thing. Now when it comes to Minecraft, it's pretty much the same thing as well. It runs normally. When you go to the nether, everything goes like super high, super fast. So I didn't notice much of a difference. It was alright. I didn't feel no sluggishness, no anything, no key inputs or everything. But anyways, moving on, we're gonna talk about some other things, like for the things that I do, let's say art, like video editing, and some other random third thing. If you are the guy that pretty much runs everything on Adobe, you're in the Adobe grip where they grab you and hold you by the nuts until you give them their money. There's a free way you can free yourself from them. It's by using other third programs. Of course, Clip Studio Paint does not work on Linux yet, but at the moment there's other options. For example, you can use GIMP as a replacement for Photoshop and Krita as a replacement for Clip Studio R and some other things. Of course, this is also with a grain of salt because you have to relearn the program to be able to do the things that you like. But it's not like much of a big giant gap or bump because the programs are easy to use. They're not really that complicated. And besides, because you have the freedom to edit the keys, you can edit the short keys to whatever you like. That is if you're willing to learn the new program. For example, right here you can have like in one side you have the on this side you will have the Linux version of Krita compared to the Windows version of Clip Studio Paint. Why did I use Krita and then Clip Studio Paint on the same thing, or why not use Clip Studio Paint and then Clip Studio Paint? Because I don't know. I just find it that was much easier not only compare the ability of both of the OS, but also compare both of the programs. For example, let me give you my 2 cents in that regard. So again, take this on a grain of salt. It's not really, it's my opinion. So anyways, when it comes to, of course, Clip Studio Paint is a program that I have used for a couple of years already, so it is quite useful. It quite understanding. Of course, there is like a lot more tools that I have not used on Clip Studio Paint that I would like to know. But anyways, like over here, just simple drawing, which is like a circle and the shadowing and whatever, and that will be the result with that. So it was pretty smooth. Of course, with Clip Studio Paint it's always smooth, so you don't have to worry about that. Now with Krita, on the other hand, I had to really learn a little bit of the key bindings, because for this one, apparently when you press E to erase, the erase will stay in there, and I don't have P selected in here, so that's why I was having a little bit trouble figure out like, wait, so what is the brush, which one is the airplane and everything. But then I started finding like a lot of all these brushes that the program has, and I started having fun with them. I made like a little ocean scenario with the like a cliff or something like that, like you can see in there. It was quite fun. Using the tools were quite fun, interesting. So it's a program that is really nice to learn. And also, of course, I did also the ball circle thing. It turned out quite all right. So in both of them, it's the same thing. It's just it's not the program itself, it's not the tools that the person uses, it's the person knowing how to use the tools. So it's based on your experience. So if you want to give it a try, go for it. If not, oh well, no, don't worry about it. There's always other options. Now, the other thing that I like to point out is that on the Pop! OS thing, customization is a little much easier. You just go here, boop, click on there, boop, and then you can change the whole Windows experience or the whole computer experience. So instead of having like regular Windows, you can have like colorful Chrome keys and everything. You just have to do whatever fits your fancy on the workshop. And anyways, that's not so bad. So now let's go with the video editing. Of course, usually when I use both PC and Linux, I mean Windows and Linux, is that pretty much it's kind of the same thing. I didn't notice much of it. The only difference is, of course, the programs that I use. Of course, most people will be again in the grab of Adobe, where you can have to download or pay for the monthly subscription of the Premiere Pro. But over here you have different options. You have from DaVinci, from Kindle, from other ones that I will put in here, and pretty much they work the same. Of course, not all of them will feel great for you, but it's just a matter of you to test like, hey, I like this one, I don't like this one, like the one of this, the one. Depends. But I use Kindle Live because that is something that people recommended to me, and it was one of the most highly rated as far as I know. So most of this video will be edited on Kindle, so you will see my experiences, how to do the transitions, and all the other good gun drops that will appear here. Probably a few memes here and there, but whatever. Now, for the bad parts. Changing to Linux. For me, of course, this is of course my experience. For me, it was not so difficult to transition from Windows to Linux. The Linux was quite alright. Learning how to use the terminal was a little bit frightening, and I know that a lot of like new people doing the terminal thing will be like completely scared that, oh, you messed up something, you like erase the entire computer or something like that. It's a possibility, you can, but it's not the end of the world. And for my experience, I know how to do these things because I had experience with a computer before. So these things come like secondhand, like really easy. Not really like, oh my god, I break something, or it's like, oh my god, you kind of messed up, so you have to like restart all over. Nothing like that. No. It was okay. It was nothing too much. I was able to run everything smoothly. Thank you for Rent for guiding me. So it was pretty much fine. But again, for first-time users that had to use the terminal, it will be quite frightening because they will say like, oh, error this, oh, I didn't type this, I didn't type that. It's just a matter to get used to it. That does not mean it is something a lot of people will like. That is for sure. A lot of people will prefer to go just click, and that's it. The thing is that people have to understand that people are lazy and they will not like to touch anything that has like so much of the thing. So this is just my opinion. I'll say the first distro that finds a way to get rid of the terminal and you are able to just click, drag, drop will make a lot of people happy. Will make a lot of the lazy people more happy. I'm gonna tell you that much. It's gonna make a lot of the lazy people more happy because now they know like, oh, I can just click here, and there you go, it's done. And that's the bad thing because you are not willing to learn new things. There's another issue that's why a lot of people get turned off by trying to use Linux. And I do understand that because not a lot of people on this day and time has a lot of time to learn new things. So they just want the things quick and easy. Of course, with that say, the whole installation was okay. It was fast and quick, but of course I did find the bad part. with one of the bad parts is, of course, as you can see right here, my Vseeface right here, took me a long time to get it running on Linux especially, because for some reason it didn't want to turn on properly. We tried several different websites, we tried different outcomes, and we always come up with the same problem. It didn't want to run properly. We have the window showed up like, hey, welcome to it's made with Linux, made with Unity, and then nothing. We're like, what is happening here? Turns out that I found out that the reason that Vseeface was not working on Linux properly using Lutris, of course, using Lutris, was because Vseeface likes to run on a older version of Ubuntu. So when I go to the settings and select Ubuntu, it will run normally. That's it. We try like the newest version of Lutris, the new version of one, the new version of everything. Install a bunch. Well, I did. Mostly I did. This is most of my part. Now, Ren didn't tell me, hey, you need to install this. No. I went to websites, looked for troubleshooting, and I found out that, yeah, probably is missing the fonts, probably is missing this, probably is missing that, probably some mono shenanigans. No, it turns out that Vseeface does not like to run on the new versions of course, on the new versions of Lutris wine. So I just put it on. We put it on the old version, running out as default, and here, behold, it's working normally. So I have no idea what was going on, but it was something that probably they will fix later on. But anyways, that will be the bad thing. The problem is that, again, a lot of people will find this, like I said, take this with a big grain of salt. You know what? Not grain. Grab the whole salt, the whole salt box or like can or whatever, and like just put it in there. Because this mileage might vary. For me, using Pop! OS, using Linux, it's been quite wonderful. It's been awesome. I haven't had any issues yet. The only thing that I will say that a lot of people does not like to play the same games that I do play. So that means that you can go to this website, Proton, to see if the Steam version will run properly. If not, you can just Google it. If this program or this game will run normally on Linux and on the distro that you're using, whether it's Pop! OS, whether it's Mint, whether it's Ubuntu, whether it's the other thing. Well, in conclusion, Linux is really wonderful OS system that is somewhat user friendly. It will allow you to get things normally if you're not willing to, learn new things. So if you are like a person that likes to, not pay a lot of money for your OS, or, well, most likely don't pay nothing at all. If you only like to, watch videos, play some games here and there, and you don't want to spend like $200+ on a new PC, or get the key that you needed for the damn activation thing to get raised, give Pop! OS a try, or give Linux a try. If you don't like Pop! OS, you have other options like Ubuntu, Mint, Arc, whatever it is out there. It's not. The thing is that customization on Linux is wild. If you have some issues, some problems, you can also look online or look for Discords that have to deal with Linux, and they will gladly help you out how the things work. Of course, this is all depends on you if you want to try Linux and you're willing to learn new things. Because a lot of people, like I say, they're scared of the terminal, and the terminal is nothing to be afraid of. Now, for the big question, I will say, will I change everything to be on Linux? Will I change the whole thing, transfer all my files to Linux? The short answer is no. The long answer, it depends. It depends on how new Windows 11 is gonna run, because I know they're having a lot of issues with my graphical GPU and CPU, which of course I'm gonna list it right there. Whoop. That's the thing. As far as being reading the news and everything, they still have problems making things slower or things like that. So it all depends how things turns out. If I had to go to Windows 11, I'll give it a try. I'll see how it works. If not, I will stick with Linux and start working on Linux. It doesn't seem too bad of a change. I just do wish that the program I pay for, Clip Studio Paint, will run on Linux. That way, I can completely move to Linux and forget about Windows. But that's just my opinion. Everything will change, eventually for the better, and we'll see how many more people start going into Linux after the Windows thing happened. And of course, my phone reads right now. Damn it, phone is stopping. Anyways, I gotta go. I will see you guys. Phone, shut up! Right, some of the phones run on Linux, but anyway, I'm gonna say bye-bye. I'll see you guys on the next video. This is Lily, and I'll bid you goodbye. Bye-bye!